want to show you a picture here. We're going to be talking about my story about how I came across this amazing revelation about the tarot, and the story about how that all came to pass and how it came about to me. It was an accident, really. So it was it's pretty interesting. To me it is anyway. So I thought, I've been writing books about it for 20 years now. No, 10 years, not 20. 2012 is my first book. And so I really think it was an important breakthrough. And I think it's wonderful to have that in our pocket now, to have that type of information. Here's a picture of me when I was in sales. And this picture is probably 20 years old, 18 maybe. I'm not too sure. 2005 maybe. So this is before I started writing books. What's interesting here, I came across this picture and I thought I would share this with you because it reminded me of that time. I was in the printing industry as a lithographer, as a craftsman most of my life. And as time went on, I went into sales. And it worked out okay. The industry was starting to change then. More digital, more computer work, digital printing, and things like that were coming around. So it wasn't. It was the conventional printing was sort of going down, but so was the trades because of that. So I went into sales. I never really did much with sales. I was in it for about 10 years, but and with sales, it's a straight commission work, 10% commission on everything you sold. You had a expense account to take clients to lunch and things like that. Any good sized commercial printer, pre-press company, that's the kind of deal you had. And so what I did is I would take potential clients out to lunch, and we would go over their print needs, and I would tell them what I thought we can do. And at the end of lunch, they would give me some different projects to quote on, give them a price. And then what we would do with the following week, we would come back, I would take them to lunch again, give them the prices on those projects, and we'll see where we're at with there. And that's how you would try to get new work that way, new accounts. So I got to know a lot of advertising agencies because of that. And with advertising agencies, they're always starving for new ideas. The Jolly Green Giant, Keebler Cookies, Marlboro Man, Tony the Tiger, Tiger Paws, things like this. They were always looking for new gimmicks and new ideas to show some product in some way, in a way that's going to grab your attention. And that's what they did. So you would come visit them, and there are all these people really working in a just creative atmosphere. You might see some guy just bouncing a ball off the wall in his office. He's thinking. You'd leave him alone. Now, most jobs, if you're bouncing a ball off the wall in your office and the boss walks by, he's going to question what you're doing. An agency, they would look at you, they leave him alone. He's thinking. To give an example of what I mean by starving for ideas, I walked in this one agency that I used to do work for, and I was coming by to pick up something, and everybody's dressed in army fatigues, the whole agency. And I wonder, what are they doing here? So I talked to my client, and we said, what's everybody dressed like this for? He said, oh, we got a new account, the U.S. Army. So the owners wanted us they bought army fatigues for everybody to wear. wants us to wear them because they want us to think like the Army, to come up with some ideas for commercials and things like this. So I said, okay, so that's the kind of people you're dealing with. Anyway, when I would take these people to lunch, I would always bring up during the conversation that I'm also a professional tarot reader. And this always got their attention. They would always be interested in that. So I tell them, well, when we come back next week, I'll bring my cards. We'll throw some cards down. I say, okay, great. And so they always were looking forward to that. And it was a nice way to break ice. And it worked out. So they gotten to know these advertising agencies, some major advertising agencies downtown Chicago. And getting to know them, you see that they're starving for creative ideas all the time. And they were always interested in tarot cards too. So I thought, well, to drum up business for myself on these potential clients, what I would do is have a talk. I had the source, the place to go, the Theosophical Society. They have a great auditorium there. It's a very distinguished looking place. I'm going to have a talk on the tarot, and I'm going to tie in creative thinking into this talk with tarot cards. And I'm going to invite the people from this advertising agencies that I've been seeing to come to this talk, thinking that this might help me get business from them. So I went to the Theosophical Society, and I never talked there, but I knew the people there. And so I went to the programs director, and I took her to lunch. And I told her I want to do this talk, creative thinking and the tarot cards, and how the tarot cards are used in a very creative way. And she liked it. She says, yeah, okay, let's do that. So we set it up, and it was for 3 months later. So I got my foot in the door over there. I got the talk scheduled. I got the date. Now I can go to these advertising agencies and tell them, come to my talk if you like the tarot cards. I'm going to be talking about getting creative thinking, and how the tarot ties into that. And they were all everybody I talked to about it was interested in this talk. And people did come from advertising agencies to this talk, along with a lot of people from the Theosophical Society, but there was it worked out real good. It was a good crowd. So anyway, I have 3 months to figure this talk out now. I got to figure out some way to tie in creative thinking and tarot cards. Those two are two different things and nothing to do with each other. But I got to figure out a way to tie these two in. Somehow I'm going to tie them in. And that's what I was thinking. Somehow it's going to happen. I'm going to do this. And so after about a month, I finally decided to go down to my computer downstairs and look into creative thinking on the internet, see what's out there. Is there a thing called creative thinking? Is there a category of anything with this? Is there anything to work with here? And I got to find it and tie the tarot into it somehow. So I typed in Google creative thinking, and a bunch of stuff come up. I thought, oh, good, there's a lot of information here. And I started reading. And as soon as I started reading about the different kinds of creative thinking techniques and why they're used and all this, as soon as I started doing, I saw, oh, this is going to be easy. There's a lot of ways I can tie these two things in together. And then I started looking into techniques, creative thinking, and I'm looking at it. Well, this is exactly the same thing. We're doing the same stuff here. This is too good to be true. Anyway, by the time I was done, an hour later, it was right away. I mean, I knew right away. You see that we're doing exactly the same thing. And we're doing it for the same reasons. To find an answer for some future objective we're looking into. In other words, a prediction. You want to call that seeing into the future, and you want to call it looking for creative ideas. An idea is a prediction. And we're looking for ways that we can to do that. And by the time I was done, I was realized that they were explaining why this works with the mind and the psychological studies that were done with it since the 1990s or whatever it was. Recent stuff. And how much they found out. And I realized that the way this all worked was based on just the way the mind works. And which explains why the tarot has been around for centuries. And there was identical applications of doing things for the same reason, to find ideas that we didn't see before. And that's where things like conceptual blending come in, which is exactly the same thing a tarot reading does. And I've talked about that in other YouTubes. But that's what it is. It's a random stimulus placed in the segments of a question that spark ideas we didn't see before. And that's what a tarot card is doing. So when I realized that this was a breakthrough, I just realized that, oh my gosh, the tarot mindset has always been it's a mysterious deck of cards. We can't explain why it works. And we leave it at that. And I found why it works. By taking something that has nothing to do with tarot cards, or at least it didn't seem to be, creative thinking techniques, and associating that to tarot card readings, which nobody ever did before. And what I found out is they were identical. And explained why the tarot is so effective. But now we understand that the mind works this way now. And this is why a tarot card reading works so well. Conceptual blending is a powerful way of finding ideas that we didn't see before. And if you have a mindset that this is a magical deck of cards or a mysterious deck of cards, and then I apply a tarot reading, and I get ideas that I didn't see before, we look at the cards and say, wow, how did they do that? It's unexplainable. Well, we talk ourselves into saying that. That's all. Eliot, here I'm reading right now what he said. I have his first book, The Only Way to Draw the Cards. The Only Way to Draw the Cards, 1770s. He says, there is undoubtedly something there. That is all I can say here. And this something is as difficult to discover as it would be to find a needle in a heap of hay. So in other words, we don't know why it works. Pappas, Tarot of the Bohemians, 1880s. The key to its construction and application have not yet been revealed so far as I know. Mary Greer, The Complete Guide to the Tarot. For some reason that we don't understand, the cards seem to shuffle themselves, but only do this after you've learned them fluently. Craig Gettings, Tarot, How to Read the Future. Although the tarot method works, it must be admitted right from the onset that no one has ever been able to explain how it works. And I came across that discovery of how it works. And that's a major breakthrough. And with understanding why something works, it allows us for the first time in its history to improve it. But you can't improve something if you don't know why it works. All you could do is mimic what's been done in the past. And that's what we've been doing for centuries. Now we can do better readings because understanding why it works can be done. For the first time in their history. And no one has ever looked into it before now. That's why I wrote books. That's why I'm still writing them. And my books all explain, they all got tarot card definitions in them. They all got card spreads in them, just like all the other books. But it also goes into why those card spreads work, why the tarot works. And that's something no one else has ever been able to do before. And so that's my message. Anyway, that's how I came across it. I would have never come across it otherwise. So if I wasn't a printing salesman looking for ways to attract customers to me by looking at saying, okay, they're starving for creativity. They're also interested in tarot cards because I'm taking them to lunch and we're talking about both. Just because I want to catch their interest in something here. And I know that these people always are interested in tarot cards. They're just creative people are interested in tarot cards. And so then actually intentionally looking into how can I tie these two things in together and nothing to do with each other. Tarot cards and the way they work and creative thinking. Who would have ever put these two things together? Psychology never even put them together. They've gone way past the tarot card reading. They never thought about tarot cards along with it. They never thought about putting them together. But if you explain the tarot cards to anybody in psychology who's familiar with creative thinking and the concept of conceptual blending, which is the big concept about that ties these two things in together, any creative thinking technique uses conceptual blending. A tarot card reading uses conceptual blending as well. And that's undeniable. That's what it is. So looking at creative thinking with tarot in mind, I was looking at this, I'm saying, I must be imagining this because to me, I'm seeing the same thing here. This is too good to be true. And it was just, I didn't believe what I was reading at first. I thought, no, I'm talking myself into this. And I would read it again. And I would read something else about it. And the more I read, the more things I was seeing that, no, this is confirmation of what a card reading is. After a while, I'm looking for things to disprove that. You can't find them. And what's funny about that is I decided, I knew when I was going to do this talk, I just came across something that's never been discovered before. And I knew that there's going to be more people at that talk than print buyers and from the advertising agencies. I know there's going to be other authors in there from the Theosophical Society. I mean, other people that are interested in tarot cards that are members of the Theosophical Society. They might write a book. So now I don't want to talk about it because I got to write a book. I want to be the one that talks about this. I don't want somebody to take my talk and they're going to want to write a book about this. I want to be the first one to write a book about it. So now I was trying to low key it during that talk. I said I was going to talk about it, so I did, but I was really not as enthused about it as I wanted to be initially, because I thought somebody's going to take this idea and they're going to go with it, and they're going to be the first ones to write about it. It didn't happen. I was able to get my first books out. Genius of the Tarot, which just throws it out as more of a subtle hint as a creative thinking technique, going into mind maps, which is also another thing that they do. Tarot card reading does. And I'm saying there was a creative thinking technique, thinking that this is going to blow up on everybody. This is just going to blow things wide open. And it really didn't. They liked the book. Everybody likes the book. Kirkus Reviews gave it a great review. And if you like tarot cards, you're going to like the book. But the chapter on creative thinking was just one chapter. And then I wrote Essential Tarot right after that book. And that one there, I really scream about it. So anyway, that picture Reminds me of where I was at the time. And what's interesting with that picture is it's the same exact place I'm sitting right now, the corner in the library. And but you can see now that I've gotten out of printing and I'm just a card reader. You can see how more I've improved my appearance. And then I've come so far. Here I could even do this. I will do this too. Throw this on and see that I look exactly the same as I did before. There's nothing changed. And it's still the same. The pictures look identical. Black sport jacket and tie. And there we go. Almost the same. How about that? So anyway, I have that serious look on my face there. Crazy. It's a good thing this isn't getting out anywhere. It's just going on my YouTube channel. If people really saw this, I would really be embarrassed. So anyway, that's how it all came about. It was accidental. Really, what I was trying to do was drum up business with my clients and tie in what they were interested in, creative thinking, with tarot cards. And it didn't take any effort at all. I just started reading about it. I said, no, this is more than I thought it was. They're identical. Incidentally, that a lot of things are found accidentally, and that's conceptual blending. That typewriter I showed you, typewriter was invented by the person who wanted to make a machine that would print one individual unique picture letter instead of putting it on a printing press and have to print out a bunch of them. And he went to a concert, and he watched a pianist working a keyboard. And he realized that if you on a keyboard, if you press this key here, you will always get the same specific note. And if I press this key over here, a different note. Well, but it's always going to be the same note, whatever key you do, it's going to stay the same. And he said, well, what if I made a machine, when I press this key, it prints a letter from the alphabet. And the typewriter changed the world. Pianos have nothing to do with printing. Conceptual blending. Conceptual blending. Meaning of this to something we're looking into. A randomness. Just like randomness in your world around you. Like going to a concert and seeing a pianist and getting the idea from that. So anyway, not much has changed in that picture. I don't have the screamer behind me in that shot, but it's the same corner. And just a different tie. Otherwise, it looks exactly the same. So anyway, that's my story. That's how I came across it. I was just, I had my eyes open for it. I was looking for it for another reason. And what I found was, you could have blew me away. It's like I found some buried treasure somewhere. And that's why I became an author. I was just a card reader. I was just happy with that. I was doing fine as a card reader in Chicago here. And I wasn't looking to be an author about anything. But then I found that and I said, I have to write about this because no one has ever said this. No one has ever seen this before. And I'm still the only author out there on it. So my books are unique, but they're informative and they'll teach you how to read the cards. But they'll also teach you why it works. Something Fred Gettings said, although the tarot method works, it must be admitted from the outset that no one has ever been able to explain how it works. Well, Fred, I got you. Now it can be explained. Bare bones, essential tarot, radical tarot, they all go right into it in detail. And so do my YouTubes. I keep throwing cards. Take care. Bye.